Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coast News. And as always, we've got some amazing news from different theme parks, rides, attractions and events all over the world. So let's get straight into the news today. Our top story for tonight, brand new concept art for Voltron Nevera has been released at Europa-Park. And this, honestly, the theming on this ride is this ride on its own with the layout is going to be crazy, but the theming as well is going to be really good, judging by this concept art. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Voltron is a brand new Mack Ride striker coaster, which is opening at Europa-Park later this year. I believe it's the 14th roller coaster to open at Europa-Park within its history. Obviously Europa-Park is a theme park that's been operating since 1975 in Rust, Germany. Fun fact, it's actually owned by the Mack family and Mack Rides. Obviously the manufacturer of Mack Rides who build loads of different roller coasters all around the world, including their newest roller coaster, Voltron, and also Mack are currently building Hyperia at Thorpe Park, which obviously I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, obviously Voltron is a striker coaster, which I'm pretty sure is a new updated version of their previous Big Dipper coaster. Was capable of much more technological elements like launchers, turntables, switch tracks, all things like that, and it looks absolutely mental. It was even voted in an online article the other week as the top anticipated roller coaster of 2024 in the entire world, which is crazy, and you can see why, because this whole ride, it just looks absolutely gorgeous. It's probably going to be Europa-Park's best roller coaster when it opens. And earlier this week, Michael Mack, obviously, who obviously owns Europa-Park, released concept art for this attraction, and it honestly looks gorgeous. The theming, obviously, we know it's part of a brand new themed land, which is themed to Croatia, and this specific attraction is themed to Nikola Tesla's and his experiments with electricity. So it already looks really cool, and the theming in there is insane. Especially that theming on which I believe is the turntable, just before the third launch. The one where it has a switch track, well not the switch track, but the turntable, where it's like a swing launch, which launches backwards first, up into a vertical spike, and up into the top at the highest points of the ride. It looks crazy. And obviously we knew the ride was going to be heavily themed already, because they, over the past couple of months, they've installed two giant Tesla coil towers around the ride, plus lots of other theming as well, which looks absolutely insane. And honestly, I cannot wait for Voltron to open at Europa-Park at least this year. And it's going to be absolutely brilliant when it does open. In other news today, the non-inverted Immelmann has officially been completed on Hyperia at Thorpe Park. And this ride is, honestly, it's already looking absolutely huge. It is going to be, literally this is not even the highest point of the ride. And it's already looking gigantic, it's already dominating the skyline of the whole Chertsey area. It can literally be seen for miles, and it's not even reached the 200-foot barrier yet. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Hyperia is a brand new roller coaster opening at Thorpe Park later this year. It's a Mack Rides hyper coaster, and upon opening it will take the title of the UK's tallest and fastest roller coaster, reaching maximum speeds of over 18 miles an hour and a maximum height of 236 feet. So in comparison to the big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, that currently reaches a maximum height of 213 feet. So Hyperia will be 23 foot taller than the big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and that is going to be absolutely huge when it does open. And obviously they started vertical construction back in October of 2023, shortly after the name reveal. And the first element that absolutely flew up, it literally was pretty much fully completed by the end of Friday nights that month. Was the Outer Banks dive. It's a completely brand new world's first element specific for this attraction. It's never been done before. It basically goes up to 165 feet. It banks outwards to the left, I think, or to the right, to the left. Yeah, to the left. But obviously it travels right, but it banks outwards, and then when it goes back down, it goes through an inversion back downwards, and that inversion is going to be the tallest inversion in Europe at 165 feet, and I'm pretty sure it's also going to be the 6th tallest inversion in the world apparently, which is crazy to think. That is going to be absolutely mental. And obviously that was the first one that flew up, and then obviously a lot of stuff that happened afterwards was the Outer Banks airtime hill after the splashdown section, and obviously the splashdown section sort of materialised, and then the airtime hill just before the brakes, the Outer Banks turn immediately after the station. But the sort of main next big two elements that materialised and were the non-inverting immelmann and the dive loop, and obviously they were both sort of going up simultaneously. However, a large tower structure which connects to the immelmann and Outer Banks dive was starting to go up. So literally they joined, earlier this week they joined the two track sections together, and I believe the non-inverting immelmann is around 150 foot tall, which is huge. So that is absolutely insane, and I cannot wait for Hyperia to open later this year. Also in the news today, Nemesis Reborn has now started testing at Alton Towers. Now, usually any sort of news to do with all the Nemesis refurbishment and all the Nemesis Reborn stuff, I would usually talk about in the Rebirth of Nemesis series. But this news about the ride testing is literally only just broken, like as I was filming, so I just had to talk about it, honestly, right now. But if you know what I'm talking about, basically, Nemesis Reborn is it's not a brand new attraction, but it's a refurbishment, a reimagining of the original Nemesis roller coaster, which originally opened back in 1994 at Alton Towers. It is a B&M inverted roller coaster that was designed by John Wardley. It was one of his first groundbreaking major attractions. It became one of the most iconic roller coasters in the world and put Alton Towers literally on the map as a world-class destination theme park. Because honestly, the ride is just so iconic, and it is such an intense roller coaster. It was also the first ever inverted roller coaster in the UK, and one of two, the first of two outside of the United States. And this ride has obviously been operating for 30 years this year, which is crazy to think. But back in 2022, Alton Towers had officially announced that they would be closing the attraction for an extensive refurbishment, and part of the refurbishment would be replacing all of the track, all of the original white sort of rustic track. Well, the track itself wasn't rusty, but it was painted to look that way, with brand new track, and we would later find out that the new track would be like jet black track with blood red veins running across the entire track, which is absolutely crazy. Honestly, the stylized track on this thing is just gorgeous. Obviously, they would continue to replace all the track over the 2023 season, with the final track segments being placed in November 2023, just after the park closed for the season. And obviously, the whole marketing campaign since the ride closed was do the Phalanx doing scientific testing, and it even involved the reopening of Nemesis Subterra back in May of 2023, just to coincide with the whole storyline of Nemesis. And literally, they've done such a fantastic job of the marketing. And the most recent bit of marketing we got was obviously the official name announcement for Nemesis Reborn, which was officially confirmed, with a brand new logo and the new appearance for the alien, which is absolutely crazy. And obviously, literally just recently, Alton Towers posted a video of the ride officially testing, saying it's going to open soon, and it is almost very likely it's going to be open for opening day this year, 16th of March. It's going to be absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to get on Nemesis Reborn when it reopens this year. And finally, in the news today, the brand new, currently unnamed Intamin family lift and launch coaster has now gone vertical at Drayton Manor. And there's a lot of irony to that, actually, because I made a video earlier this week saying why it's going to be delayed by quite some time because it hasn't gone vertical yet, or it hadn't back then. That was literally Monday this week where I released a video saying that the ride hasn't gone vertical yet, even though the track's been on site for quite a while now. But literally a few days later, literally 2 days later, it started going vertical. And honestly, I'm so glad they've actually started the vertical construction side of it now, because obviously it means that they can start one step closer to actually riding this thing. Now obviously we don't actually know much about the actual attraction. We know that it is, like I said in my video, it is an Intamin family lift and launch coaster, which is obviously a brand new type of family coaster introduced by Intamin, I think, last year. It's two main elements that we definitely know is going to feature. I mean, its name, a lift hill and a launch, which is obviously not a very common thing on roller coasters. You never usually find a roller coaster with both a lift hill and a launch. It's usually either a lift hill or a launch, but it's never usually even. There's only a couple in the world, a few in the world's roller coasters in the world that have both a lift hill and launch. And the other thing we know, this wasn't even officially announced by Drayton Manor. We could just tell from like the theming that's being put up around the area. It's going to have a sort of like a Wild West, sort of like Western sort of theme, maybe even like a gold mine type theme. And obviously it's going to be part of a brand new themed land with 3 other attractions that are getting rethemed or refurbished. The Haunting, which is a Vekoma Madhouse that's getting rethemed. Drunken Barrels, which is an indoor spinning barrels attraction, which is getting rethemed, I think. And Western, I think it's called Western Shootdown or something, I can't remember. But it's basically like a shooting dark ride that's just literally going to be refurbished with part of the area to fit with the area because it's already Western themed. And we don't even know what the layout of this brand new roller coaster is because even though it was announced about a year ago already, we never saw any plan documents to show like a layout or anything like that. One obviously it's going to be a family coaster. But obviously now that the ride is going vertical, we can sort of get an idea as to what kind of experience we can expect. We can already gather from the profiling of the track that it's going to be quite a sort of like going to involve some really wacky elements and some really like fast-paced elements as well. Even though it's only going to be I think 38 miles an hour or 40 or something like that, it's going to be a really fun ride, and I cannot wait for this thing to open. So that is it for this week's episode of Coaster News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to like and subscribe, and comment your boy we would like to see you in the next video. Goodbye.